The fall of Rome. The true culprit was money. When we imagine the fall of Rome, we always see the same images before us. Barbarians at the gates, scattered legions, poisoned emperors in their palaces. But empires do not collapse solely because of external attacks. The greatest danger usually comes from within, and throughout history it has always been the same force that brought the slowest and most insidious decay: money. Rome did not fall because of wars or mistakes. It fell because it lost faith in its own money. And believe me, the lessons from this story still apply today, because we are still playing the same games with money. The metal that embodied trust, the denarius. For centuries, the Roman economy was built upon a single coin, the denarius. It consisted of genuine, though not entirely pure, silver. Soldiers received their pay in the coins. Merchants demanded them exclusively. In short, everyone trusted the denarius. Even then, one principle was clear: money had to be based on something real. The denarius was not just metal, it was an expression of faith and confidence in Rome itself. But keeping an empire alive is no simple task. Roads had to be built, legions supplied, wars financed. And when revenues could no longer bear the weight, the emperors made a simple decision. They reduced the silver content of the coinage. In other words, if we just mint more coins, our problems will solve themselves. Sound familiar? As the coins lost their value, during the reign of Augustus, a denarius contained about 95% pure silver. Under Caracalla, it was roughly half that. By the time of Gallienus, the silver content had dropped below 5%. What had once been a shining silver coin became a bronze disc with a thin silver coating. And the people noticed. Trust evaporated. Inflation rose. What once cost a single denarius now required dozens. Soldiers demanded higher pay, merchants refused the coins, and people returned to barter trade. The state insisted, if we print even more money, the problem will disappear. But with every new minting, trust declined further. Thus began the vicious cycle. The 3rd century, an age of chaos between 235 and 284 AD, Rome endured its darkest days. Invasions, plagues, civil wars. Emperors came and went within months. Some died before they were even crowned. But the real catastrophe took place behind the scenes, in the economy. Taxes were paid in devalued coins, farmers abandoned their fields, trade collapsed, and the state faltered. Then came Diocletian. In 301 AD, he issued the Edict on Maximum Prices, fixing the prices of all goods and services. Those who violated it were to be executed. As one might expect, it did not work. When money itself has become worthless, no law can stabilize prices. The black market thrived, official trade died, and people realized a rotten monetary system cannot be saved by any law. The last resort, a return to gold eventually, Rome abandoned the denarius altogether. In 312 AD, Emperor Constantine introduced the solidus, a coin made of pure gold. In the Eastern Empire, it brought stability for centuries. But for the Western Roman Empire, it was too late. The decay of money had already destroyed the heart of the empire. The armies were weak, trade had stopped, trust no longer existed. Only then did Rome truly begin to fall. Parallels to the present. Rome's story was not unique. The pattern has repeated itself again and again. Weimar Germany, 1923. To pay its debts, the government printed more money. The result? A loaf of bread cost 200 billion marks. People carried their money to the bakery in wheelbarrows. Zimbabwe, 2008. The government kept printing money even as production collapsed. Inflation reached 89.7 sextillion% per year. Eventually, the national currency was abandoned entirely. Always the same story. Governments say, we're just printing a little more. No one will notice. But the people always pay the price. And today, even in modern economies, the cycle continues. In 1971, U.S. President Nixon ended the gold standard, detaching the dollar from gold. Since that day, the dollar has rested solely on the promise of the state. Since then, debt has exploded, the money supply has surged, and inflation has become a permanent condition. The coins and notes in our wallets look the same, but their inner value is fading. What $1 could buy in 1971 now costs more than 6. Governments call inflation growth and debt investment. But in truth, our purchasing power is being stolen, bit by bit, every year. Conclusion. The fall of Rome reminds us of a simple truth. When money weakens, society decays. Contracts lose meaning, trade collapses, armies disintegrate, and governments watch helplessly as their legitimacy vanishes. The barbarians at the gates may seal the end, but the true collapse always begins from within. History never repeats itself exactly, but if we fail to learn from it, the same blow will strike us again. The fall of Rome was not merely the tale of corrupt emperors, but the story of the decay of money. And that decay, it still follows us today.